What's going on? This is Big G from Rydes and welcome to another episode of Testing Rydes. Today, I'm going to be testing the 2015/16 Ford Flex Limited All-Wheel Drive.
Hey, no, 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 hey, no, 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 hey, no, no, hey, hey, no, hey, no, no, hey,
Welcome to the 2015/16 Ford Flex. So before I get started on this video, this is a 15 model, but the only difference between the 15 model and the 16 model is this one still has Ford My Touch and the 2016 has Sync 3, which I would recommend getting instead of the Sync because it's terrible. Anyways, welcome to the 2015/16 Ford Flex. In 2009, the Ford Flex was an all-new model for Ford. Pretty much all it was a Ford Taurus wagon, and it's a three-row crossover that had the boxy shape. It kind of brought back the remnants of the old Woody wagons, and they became fairly popular over the last few years. And then in 2013, they added to their winning formula by doing a facelift and adding some new features, mainly making the front look different, look a little more mean, adding push-button starter and power folding mirrors to the Ford Flex lineup. This is a Ford Flex Limited All-Wheel Drive. So this one costs about $40,000, and what you get standard is you get navigation, you get heated seats, power liftgate, push-button starter with the smart key access system, power folding mirrors, 18-inch wheels, and Sony premium sound system. But also optional for this vehicle was the captain's chairs in the rear, the sunroof that has the rear fixed glass panoramic roof, bigger wheels and tires, and a bigger engine option, which is the twin turbo 3.5 liter. This car has a naturally aspirated V6 engine with 280 horsepower and 254 pound-feet of torque, and this vehicle weighs a little over 4,000 pounds. So since this vehicle is pretty heavy and it has a big V6 engine and all-wheel drive, this vehicle gets about 16 in the city and 22 on the highway. From the highway driving I did over the last few days, the best I've seen was about 21.5, so pretty close to the EPA estimated amount. And that estimated fuel economy was about 75 miles an hour, which isn't too bad. Even though this vehicle starts out at about $40,000, they do have a base model that starts at about $30,000, which gets you the same three-row crossover configuration, but it has cloth seats. It has Ford My Touch, but it doesn't have a backup camera or navigation or any of the features this had. So pretty much the base model is similar to this. All this one gets is some different styling. This chrome plate in the back here, and some more premium options. All right, let's take a look at the interior. This vehicle is equipped with the smart key Ford's keyless access system. So to lock it, when you get out, you just hit this little black portion outside. And to unlock it, just wait a few seconds, walk up to the handle, grab the handle, and open the door up. Alright, let's talk about this interior a little bit. So generally speaking about this Ford Flex, it's a really nice, comfortable place to be. Where you put your arms at, it's really soft up here. The steering wheel has really nice feel to it. It has this pretty nice little wooden accents up here, and also on the dash across here. It has this really nice screen that's pretty clear, pretty easy to use. And the infotainment screen here is pretty decent. It's the 15, so it still has the Microsoft Sync system. It is pretty slow. It lags a bit, but overall, it is not too bad. It's actually not that bad of a deal breaker for me to buy this car. But if you're looking at buying either a 15 or 16, I would definitely go with the 16 because it has Sync 3, and Sync 3 is so much better. I still need to get a car to test that out, but I have tested it a little bit off camera, and it's pretty good. It's a lot better than this Microsoft Sync system. The one thing I don't like also is these touch-sensitive buttons. I'm glad on all the newer Ford vehicles they have went back to buttons. I don't know who said that this whole touch-sensitive thing was a good idea, but it's not a good idea. Sometimes it's really slow to respond, so you might as well just use the screen, which is not the best thing when you're trying to drive a vehicle. Let's go ahead and start up to see how the gauge cluster, talk about the gauge cluster a little bit. Sorry guys, I gotta turn a little bit of AC on. It's quite hot in this car. So the gauge cluster is pretty cool. So you can have a few different configurations. So on the left side, you can get your trip information, your display modes. Say if you want to see just the speedometer and the fuel gauge. You can also see the temperature gauge. You also could see the RPM and your distance to empty. And also over here, this is how you change all your settings. I don't need to go through that, just general car settings. And on this side, on the right side, is pretty much your little mini screen for your infotainment system. So you can check out the navigation over here. It also shows, so when you're on a road, it tells you what road you're on. And if it has a speed limit posted, it will also show your speed limit there. You can do your phone stuff from here. You can do your quick dial. You can see all your calls, incoming calls, outgoing calls, all that general stuff. And then your entertainment. Right now the audio's off, but there you can change your song, see what's up next, change the song, and also change sources. But it's laid out pretty good. Overall, the information that's given from the gauge cluster is pretty intuitive and it's pretty useful. But overall, the Ford Flex's interior is really high quality. It's easy to use. It's very functional. And it's one of the better interiors for the family size crossover class. All right, let's go take a look at the back seat. All right, here I am chilling up in the back seat. I have plenty of knee room. I can put my foot under the seats. The seats are pretty comfortable. They recline and everything. They have a nice little center console here in the middle. You can put down where the cup holders are. And I think for any medium-sized family, this vehicle will be perfect for them. It also has these really cool cup holders here. We can put bottles of water, or if you got a baby in the back seat, put the bottle there. Or even maybe a bag of chips will fit in there. But it's a lot of storage space in this Ford Flex. And also down here, there's adjustable heat and AC for the rear passengers, a cup holder there, and also, which I didn't know, is a three-prong plug back here, which is pretty cool. And also a little cigarette lighter charger back here. Overall, this back seat's really comfortable, and I think it's way more comfortable than the Ford Explorer's rear seat. So there's a button right in that handle down there to open up the rear gate. Also, there's the backup camera, but I'll just hit the button on the key fob. Just hit the trunk button down here twice. So back in the rear of the Ford Flex, there is a ton of cargo space. You could fit maybe 4 pieces of big luggage, and maybe also a few strollers back here. It's very spacious. And also here's the seat belts for the rear passengers. And the rear passengers get their own little storage box back here and their own cup holders. And you was like, oh, where are the rear passenger seats? So to put the seats up, all you have to do on this model is flip it up like that. Pull this lever out right there. You have to do it at the same time. So pull the red lever and then pull this black lever, and there are your rear seats. From looking back here, there's actually a lot of rear seat room, so you can maybe fit some smaller feet under there. But it's pretty spacious, and this is big enough for a full-size adult back here. And also, with the rear seats up, there's also a decent amount of cargo space too. You still could maybe fit about 2 big luggages back here, or maybe like a stroller and things like that. But overall, this Ford Flex is really, really spacious. Let's see how this thing sounds. Not too bad. All right, let's see how this thing drives. Not too bad on acceleration. So overall, this thing drives very good. It's very smooth. It's very composed over bumps. It's really quiet inside of here. It doesn't feel like you're driving a huge boat. Yes, it is kind of a big car, but it doesn't have as much body roll and it doesn't have as much bulk to it as a Ford Explorer would, honestly. Yes, it does need a turbo. In the worst way, it needs a turbo. It's not fast by any means, but it does decent for what it's given. With 280 horsepower and 4,000 pounds, that's a lot of weight to lug around. And honestly, maybe not more power, but some more torque would be nice. One of the biggest things I like about this Ford Flex is the seating position. It's a very commanding seating position. So I sit up a little bit high. I see over the hood really well. I can see out all of my windows really well. And I have lots of headroom. I mean, I'm over 6 foot tall, and I'm a pretty big guy overall, and I'm very, 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 very comfortable in this car. Go around this corner. It's actually pretty stable. There is body roll because this vehicle is not a sports car, but it's not a ton of body roll like you would expect from a family crossover. I honestly think if you lowered the car a little bit, maybe put some firmer suspension, it'd handle like its own rails, even though it's a big family crossover. I mean, but why would you do that to a big family crossover? You know? But that's just how I feel about it. Parking the Ford Flex is actually a little more difficult. Well, I wouldn't say difficult, it's a little more cumbersome than what you may think. Since this car is kind of long and it's just a box, it doesn't have the best turning circle. So and sometimes when parking, you can't see all around the car like you should be able to. So my recommendation, if they're going to keep this vehicle around past 2016, they need to put in the 360 camera system like the Ford Explorer has, so it's a little bit easier to see around the vehicle. This is a pretty rough road right here, and honestly, I barely feel the bumps. Only really things I'm feeling is when the road dips down, just more imperfections that aren't bumps. And one thing I can tell you about driving this vehicle long distance, about 350 miles total, is this is a great grade highway cruiser. Very comfortable. The seats are, the car itself is very comfortable. Everywhere you touch, you can rest on something and it won't hurt your arm. The seats are very, very soft. They're actually pretty decently supportive too. I can get right in here and find a very comfortable sitting position pretty quickly. And after driving this vehicle for about 5 hours total, I didn't get very tired after when I got out of it, just because of how quiet it is. Overall, this vehicle drives almost perfect. I've talked about how much I like this car. Let me talk about things I don't like about it. A, void my touch. I talked about it before, it not being a huge deal breaker, but for messing with Sync 3, this is kind of terrible, honestly. The second thing I don't like is the fuel economy at 16 city and 22 highway. That's not very good for today's standards. I mean, there are some family crossovers that are getting like 18, 19 city and almost nearly 30 highway. That's just a little bit unacceptable. If they want to keep this around, they probably should drop a little bit of weight to get the vehicle a little bit better fuel economy. Also, I don't like how small the fuel tank is. I think this fuel tank is about 18 gallons, so that's about the size of a fuel tank on like a family-sized sedan. I understand that this vehicle is on the Ford Taurus platform, so this vehicle shares a platform with the Ford Edge, the Explorer, the Taurus, and all the Lincoln counterparts of all those vehicles. So I understand that the vehicle is based on a kind of sedan platform, but it wouldn't really kill them to put a bigger fuel tank in here. So I mean, like 22 is pretty decent fuel economy, but at 16 to 18 gallons, that doesn't get you that far. And nobody ever gets like the EP estimated fuel economy. Like the best I was able to see, like I said, was about 21, between 20.5 and 21. So that just shortens your range right there. So this vehicle as it sits is about 40 grand. I honestly think 40 grand is kind of a lot for this, considering considering the other crossovers start about the same, but with just a few more options, they don't climb up to 40 grand. Yes, it's the big dog, the limited all-wheel drive, so it is the range topping model. But honestly, I think if you want to keep selling these vehicles, you should figure out a way to drop the price down a little bit more, because this limited should really only be about 35, 36 grand for the all-wheel drive model, and about 40 to 42 with all options. So that means navigation, sunroof, push button starter, heating, cooled seats, everything. Should only be about 42 grand range topping model, other than like I think a top of line model costs about nearly 50 grand. And for 50 grand, I don't think this thing is worth 50 grand. We understand that the price of cars have gone up over the years, but 50 grand for this, I don't think it's worth it, because it's not going to hold its value as well as some other vehicles. But I mean, I don't think people who buy family crossovers are worried about the value of their cars, but depreciation definitely is a big thing with these, and paying 50 grand, I just can't see it. For the pros, for my overall impression of this car, for the pros, it drives perfectly. It's very comfortable. I like the looks of it. The power is pretty decent for the weight of the heft of the vehicle, and I think it's very functional for families. Some of the things I don't like about it: fuel economy is not great. I think the gas tank is a little too small, and in my Ford Touch. But besides all those things, this Ford Flex is one of the best family crossovers on the market, and my personal opinion, my personal opinion, I think it's better than the Ford Explorer. I know a lot of people prefer the looks of the Explorer more, but I think this is the better vehicle. So if you like this, if you like this video, go ahead and give me a big thumbs up down below. Hit that subscribe button and keep riding with me. Thanks for watching.